My girlfriend's friend whispered. He still thinks you love him? She laughed. Of course. That's why he pays my rent. That night, I canceled the lease. The next morning, she woke up to an eviction notice and a locked bank account. 2 years ago, on a chilly October morning in Chicago, I met Lisa. I was running late for work and dashed into a coffee shop near the Loop to grab a quick caffeine fix. The place was packed, and as I reached for the last blueberry muffin, so did someone else. Our hands touched, and I looked up to see her, Lisa. She had this radiant smile and eyes that sparkled with mischief. We both laughed awkwardly, and I insisted she take the muffin. She protested, but eventually accepted, and as a thank you, she offered to buy me coffee. We ended up chatting for a while, exchanging numbers before parting ways. Our connection was immediate and intense. Texts turned into calls, calls into dates, and before I knew it, we were inseparable. Lisa was a graphic designer at a marketing firm, passionate about art and creativity. Her apartment in Wicker Park was a testament to her artistic soul, walls adorned with her paintings, shelves filled with design books and quirky collectibles. I was a software engineer, more into logic and structure, but somehow, we complemented each other perfectly. Lisa had a tight-knit group of friends from her college days at the University of Illinois. Among them was Sarah, her best friend and confidant. Sarah was the kind of person who could walk into a room and command attention effortlessly. She was outgoing, witty, and had a penchant for dramatic storytelling. From the get-go, Sarah and I got along well. She often joked that she had to approve of Lisa's boyfriends, and I seemed to pass her test. 6 months into our relationship, Lisa and I decided to move in together. My lease in Lincoln Park was up, and it made sense for us to share a space. We found a cozy apartment in Lakeview, with a view of the park and close to the lake, a perfect blend of city life and nature. Combining our belongings was an adventure. My minimalist style clashed with her eclectic tastes, but we made it work. Our home became a blend of modern tech gadgets and vibrant art pieces. Life was good. We hosted dinner parties, went on weekend trips to nearby towns like Galena, and even adopted a cat we named Pixel. Our friends often commented on how perfect we seemed together. I genuinely believed we were building a future. About a year into living together, I started noticing subtle changes. Lisa's work hours became unpredictable. She'd text saying she had to stay late for a project or had impromptu meetings. At first, I didn't think much of it. The design world can be demanding, and I wanted to be supportive. But then, there were the late-night texts. We'd be watching a movie, and her phone would buzz. She'd glance at it, smile, and quickly type a response. When I asked, she'd say it was Sarah or a work colleague. One evening, we were at a friend's birthday party in Logan Square. The atmosphere was lively, with music, laughter, and clinking glasses. I was chatting with some friends when I overheard Lisa and Sarah talking nearby. Their voices were low, but in the cacophony of the party, their words stood out. Sarah leaned in and whispered, "He still thinks you love him?" Lisa chuckled softly, taking a sip of her wine. "Of course. That's why he pays my rent." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My mind raced, trying to process what I'd just heard. Was I just a convenience to her? Someone to foot the bills while she what? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the seed of doubt had been planted. That night, as we rode home in an Uber, Lisa was her usual cheerful self, recounting stories from the party. I nodded along, but my mind was elsewhere. Lying in bed later, I stared at the ceiling, replaying that conversation over and over. Sleep eluded me. The next day, I decided to dig a little deeper. I checked our joint bank account and noticed several withdrawals I didn't recognize: boutique stores, fancy restaurants, spa treatments. Purchases I hadn't made. When I confronted Lisa about them, she brushed it off, saying she had treated herself and Sarah a few times. "Isn't that what the joint account is for?" she asked, her tone light, but with an edge. I wanted to believe her, to trust that there was no malice behind her actions. But the nagging feeling persisted. I started paying more attention. I'd casually ask about her day, her projects, her colleagues. She'd answer, but there were inconsistencies, stories that didn't quite add up. One evening, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I know it's a breach of privacy, but temptation got the better of me. I glanced at the screen. A message from an unsaved number. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing." My heart sank. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I decided to gather more evidence. Over the next few days, I noticed more messages, more late nights, more secrecy. I confided in my friend Mark about the situation. He suggested hiring a private investigator, but that felt too extreme. Instead, I decided to take matters into my own hands. One evening, when Lisa said she was working late, I drove to her office. Her car wasn't in the parking lot. I waited for an hour, but she never showed up. The following weekend, Sarah invited us to a group outing, a day trip to Milwaukee. I declined, feigning a work commitment, but encouraged Lisa to go. This was my opportunity. I reached out to one of Lisa's colleagues, Megan, whom I'd met at a previous event. Over coffee, I casually mentioned Lisa's demanding work schedule. Megan looked puzzled. "Lisa hasn't had any major projects lately. In fact, things have been pretty slow at the office." That was the confirmation I dreaded. Lisa had been lying. But why? Was there someone else? Was I just a means to an end for her? I decided to confront her. That evening, as we sat down for dinner, I looked her in the eyes and asked, Lisa, are you seeing someone else? She looked taken aback, almost offended. What? No. Why would you even think that? I mentioned the messages, the late nights, the conversation with Megan. Her face paled. She opened her mouth to speak, but then closed it, looking away. Is there something you're not telling me? I pressed. Tears welled up in her eyes. It's not what you think, she whispered. Then what is it? I demanded, my voice rising. She took a deep breath. I've been gambling. I blinked, not expecting that. Gambling. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. It started small. Just a few bets here and there. But then I started losing, and I thought I could win it back. I didn't want to tell you. I was ashamed. I felt a mix of relief and confusion. But the messages? The late nights? She looked down. I borrowed money from some people. When I couldn't pay them back, I started seeing someone who offered to help. My jaw clenched. You started seeing someone? As in? Lisa shook her head quickly, almost desperate. Not like that. He owns a bar downtown. I met him through Sarah. He gave me cash, helped me pay off a few debts. Then he started asking for things. Company. Dinners. Nothing physical, just attention. But I knew what it was turning into. And I let it happen because I was scared. I didn't want you to know I'd screwed everything up. I sat back, cold inside. My stomach twisted. So it wasn't just about money anymore. It was manipulation. Betrayal wrapped in fear and lies. So, you used me to cover the rest? I asked quietly. Lisa wiped her face with her sleeve. I thought I could fix it before you ever found out. You're the only good thing I've ever had. I just didn't want to lose you. But she already had. I stared at her, thinking of all the nights she walked in late, kissed me on the cheek, laughed with Sarah on the phone. She had been slipping away for months while I was here, paying rent, groceries, gas, brunches, believing I was helping us build something. A few days passed. We barely spoke. She moved like a shadow through the apartment. I stopped eating at home, couldn't sleep in our bed. My chest felt tight all the time. Then came the twist I didn't expect. I got a call from my bank. They asked if I had recently tried to withdraw nearly $4,000 from our joint account. No, I said instantly. Well, someone tried at a branch in River North. I froze. That was near the bar she mentioned. The one owned by the man she claimed was just helping. I checked the account online. Multiple transactions. Withdrawals, wire transfers, some to names I didn't recognize. She hadn't just lied. She was draining me. I called her. She didn't pick up. I texted her to come home immediately. An hour later, she walked in like nothing happened. I didn't say anything. I just turned my laptop toward her and let her look at the screen. Her face turned white. I can explain. I stood. Save it. She reached for me, but I pulled away. You're stealing from me now? Lisa tried to talk, but I wasn't hearing it. You're leaving tonight. I don't care where you go. I have nowhere else. Not my problem. But you made your choices. Now live with them. She spent the night crying on the couch. I didn't care. I opened another bank account, froze the joint one, and transferred everything out. The next morning, I contacted the landlord. The lease was in my name, so I gave 30-day notice and paid the final month. I emailed Lisa an eviction notice. She had to be out by the end of the week. Then I did something petty. I messaged Sarah. All those laughs behind my back? I heard it all. Tell your friend the rent's her problem now. Sarah left me on read. I wasn't done. I contacted Lisa's job. I didn't want to ruin her life, but I needed to know something. I spoke to HR. Very politely, I asked if Lisa was still working there. They were confused. Lisa hasn't worked here in almost 3 months. That was it. Everything she told me, projects, deadlines, late hours, it was all fake. She hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. She'd made up an entire life behind my back. I called her one last time. I told her what I knew. She didn't cry this time. She just said, I was scared. I didn't know how to fix it. I thought if I told you, I'd lose everything. I answered, you already did. The next morning, she was gone. Left a note and nothing else. I expected relief. What I felt was rage. Then the bar owner called. That's when it really spiraled. The number that popped up on my phone was unknown. I almost didn't answer, but something in me, curiosity, maybe hate, told me to pick up. The voice on the other end was smooth, too casual for what he was about to say. This Aaron. Who's this? Name's Declan. I'm the guy helping Lisa. Or was, until she bailed on a few promises. Thought you'd want to know. My grip on the phone tightened. What kind of promises? He chuckled. Don't play dumb. You're not the only one she was lying to. She told me you were out of the picture. Said you two were technically done. She needed some cash, and I don't give out charity. We had an agreement. And she broke it. What kind of agreement? I asked again, my voice low. She said she'd entertain clients for me. Be friendly. Smile. Flirt. Maybe more if it came to it. I never forced her. She offered, said she could handle herself. I gave her money up front. She ghosted. I couldn't breathe for a second. You telling me she prostituted herself? Declan paused. That word's a little harsh. But yeah, she volunteered. I hung up. I wanted to throw my phone. Scream. I just sat there, staring at the wall, heart pounding like a war drum. She lied to me about everything. Her job, her debts, her whereabouts. And now this. For the next few days, I kept waiting for her to come back, to say something, anything. But she didn't. She disappeared. Her number stopped working. Her Instagram was wiped. Mutual friends said they hadn't seen her. It was like she vanished. That should have been it. I should have moved on. But then, a week later, I found a plain white envelope at my door. No stamp, no return address. Just my name. Inside was a flash drive. I hesitated for a long time before plugging it into my laptop. There were 4 video files. The first one opened to a hotel room. Lisa was there, dressed up, sipping wine on the bed. In walked Declan and 2 other men I didn't recognize. They laughed, handed her a wad of cash, and she smiled like she was proud. The second showed her sitting on that same bed later, alone, crying and talking into the camera. She said my name, said she knew she had lost me, said she didn't expect forgiveness but wanted me to see the truth. She claimed Sarah pushed her into it, said Sarah had been the one who connected her to Declan, said Sarah had done the same thing before. That's when my stomach turned. Because I remembered, months ago, Sarah had been weird around me. Flirty, asked me once if I'd ever cheat, if the opportunity was perfect. I brushed it off. She laughed it off. But now it hit different. The third file showed Sarah at the bar, drunk, all over Declan. She said Lisa was too emotional for this line of work. Said she'd take over if Lisa didn't want to play anymore. The fourth was a voice recording. Lisa and Sarah. Sarah whispering, "He still thinks you love him?" Lisa's laugh, "Of course. That's why he pays my rent." But after that, the conversation kept going. Lisa's voice turned serious. "I don't like doing this, Sarah." Sarah replied, "He'll move on. They always do. Until then, enjoy the ride. You deserve it." It was like someone ripped the floor out from under me. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a setup, a scam. And I'd been the mark. I sent the files to my friend Mark. He called me within minutes. "You need to go to the cops." "No, I can't. They'll say it's all consensual. It's her word against mine." "Then go after Sarah. She's not untouchable." I started digging. I found her LinkedIn, her business registry. She ran a small consulting firm out of a co-working space. Claimed to help women optimize their lifestyle. Sounded like motivational garbage. But I looked deeper. Found multiple complaints online. Women saying she pressured them into bad deals. One said she was recruited to be a companion for rich men. Everything pointed to Sarah running an escort ring. A quiet, elite, under-the-table operation dressed up as women's empowerment. And Lisa had been one of them. Whether she joined willingly or not, I didn't know anymore. But I knew I wasn't going to let Sarah walk away clean. I started writing it all down. Names, dates, screenshots. I created a backup of the flash drive. Saved it in multiple places. And then I made a plan. Because I knew something Sarah didn't. I wasn't the only one she'd crossed. And I was done playing nice. It took me another 2 weeks to gather everything I needed. While I worked my regular job during the day, at night I was digging deeper into Sarah's operation. I contacted some of the women who had left complaints online. I didn't push, I just asked if they were willing to talk. A few ignored me, but one responded. Her name was Natalie. She said Sarah had promised her life-changing connections. Instead, she ended up escorting for men twice her age. When she tried to leave, Sarah threatened to expose her. Blackmail, photos, voice memos, texts. I asked if she had proof. She did. I added it all to my file. I didn't know where this would go legally, but I knew what I wanted. A confrontation. One where Sarah couldn't hide. I waited for the right moment. I found it on a Saturday afternoon. Sarah had planned a pop-up event, some fake women's empowerment seminar at a loft downtown. She'd invited influencers, local entrepreneurs, even press. I got an invite through a fake profile. I showed up early, dressed clean, quiet, unnoticed. I brought my laptop, a small portable speaker, and a projector. By the time the event started, there were at least 40 people there. Music played. Wine poured. Sarah stood at the front, smiling like the queen she thought she was. She started her talk. "We're here to lift each other up," I interrupted. "Or drag each other down for money." Heads turned. Sarah blinked. "I'm sorry, who? You don't recognize me?" I stepped forward, hitting play on the speaker. The recording of her and Lisa's conversation echoed through the room. "He still thinks you love him?" Laughter. "That's why he pays my rent." Gasps. Sarah's smile dropped. "Aaron, what the hell are you doing?" I turned on the projector. Up came Lisa's confession. Her video. Her face, crying, shaking, naming Sarah as the person who roped her into all of it. You could hear whispers around the room. Some people looked uncomfortable. Others horrified. "I have more," I said, voice steady. "Messages. Bank records. Witnesses." Sarah tried to talk. "This is slander." "You can't." "Shut up," I snapped. "I trusted you. I trusted her. You used me. You ran her into the ground, and for what? Commission? Power?" Someone in the crowd shouted. "Is this true?" Another. "What the hell kind of scam is this?" Sarah looked around, desperate now. "He's lying. She was never forced to do anything." I nodded. "You're right. She wasn't. That's the tragedy. She froze. She did it to impress you. To prove she could handle it. She didn't know how to say no. She didn't know how to ask for help. Because you made it seem like this was normal." Sarah opened her mouth again, but the damage was done. A few guests were already leaving. Some filmed the entire exchange. A reporter took notes. I left her there, in the middle of the fallout. I didn't hear from Lisa for another month. Then one day, I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address, but I knew it was from her. She apologized, not for cheating, not for the lies, but for getting lost. She said she got swept up in a life she didn't understand. Said Sarah had twisted everything. Said she'd made mistakes, huge ones, and she was trying to start over, somewhere far away. I didn't write back. Mark said I should burn the letter. I didn't. I kept it, tucked it in a drawer. Not as a reminder of love, but of where love without truth can go. The fallout was slow, but it came. Sarah's pop-up event was canceled mid-speech. She lost sponsors, clients. Natalie went to the authorities. An investigation was opened. I don't know if they ever nailed her with charges, but she disappeared off social media and the city scene. Some friends who knew me and Lisa took sides. A few unfollowed me, which I didn't care about. Others reached out and said they'd suspected something was off. One even confessed he saw Lisa with Declan once and didn't know how to tell me. It's been 6 months. I moved out of the Lakeview apartment. Got a place in Andersonville. Quiet. Near the lake. I changed jobs, picked up boxing, and started therapy. I'm not okay, but I'm getting better. Some nights, I still think about Lisa's laugh. How genuine it seemed. And I wonder if she ever really loved me. If some part of her, even a tiny piece, meant what she said in those early days. But mostly, I think about who I became through all this. Not a victim, not a fool, just a man who finally saw the truth and survived it. Relationship fully ended. Main characters exposed. Protagonist healing, wiser, and moving on.